Alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D Real coming at you with another Be Real with D Real, where edutainment explains it. Stirring my tea. Okay. We're gonna talk about representation. Representation, black representation, as it relates to comics and movies. Because I am finding that some people want representation. They want black representation in comics and movies, but are willing to settle for whatever they are given and say, rather than put, you know what, I'm going to save it for the video. Let's do what we need to do so we can do what we want to do. Comment, like, subscribe, and share to this page right here so that when the material comes out, you get it over there. I like that. If you're digging what a brother's shelving to put some dirt in my bucket, comment, like, subscribe, and share. I'm trying to edutain. You got to be open to being edutained if you want to be edutained. If you come over here tight-lipped and hard about it. Okay. All right. First, I got to ask this question. Is the representation we had as black people in cinema greater now than it was in, say, 1966? Yeah, of course it was, because we were in the middle of a civil rights struggle. We were demanding rights. You know what I'm saying? You got to have rights before you can have representation. And we somewhat got those rights. 66 gave us the Black Panther. 72 gave us Luke Cage. I don't want to focus on T'Challa and Luke Cage, because Luke Cage and T'Challa are the two black heroes everybody pulled out of their butt when you start talking about black people and representation. Okay, T'Challa's out there. He don't got his own monthly comic book, but he's out there. People are aware of who he is because he's starting to get more exposure. He ain't A-list yet, but he's got exposure. If he was A-list, we wouldn't be struggling about whether or not he should or shouldn't be recast. It's not A-list, okay? Far as Luke Cage, far from A-list. You know what I'm saying? When the man gonna get a monthly comic? When T'Challa gonna get a monthly comic? And I could start naming off black characters. You got a crap ton of black characters over at Marvel. You got a crap ton of black characters over at DC. How many of those characters have a consistent monthly comic book? Consistent. I don't mean breaks. When you ever seen Action Comics stop over at DC? Even when Superman was dead, Action Comics didn't stop, because Superman been around. At that point, he had been around for about 50 years? So 50 years is all you need to become iconic, or the question of representation is no longer a question. Okay, what do I mean by that? That right there is Sam Wilson's first ever costume appearance. That's the comic book that happened in. That was in 1969. Okay, and for a large part of that time, played second fiddle to Steve Rogers. This is the issue where T'Challa got his wings to him. See, he's got wings. It says right there on the page. See the Falcon's dynamic new wings. Falcon was also dating Leela Taylor at the time. I liked Leela Taylor. But this is what we got through the 70s and some of the 80s. Falcon got a couple of here and there's, but just like the Black Panther before him, none of it stuck. It didn't get to stick. So we didn't get the kind of representation that we were looking for. Flash forward about another 40 years, and eventually, this isn't the comic, but eventually the mantle, there's that word again, is passed. No, not passed. Shared, because Steve Rogers is very much alive and active in the comics. Now, we know what happens in the movies lately begins to get reflected in comic book form. Now, here we are. Sam Wilson's character, Anthony Mackie playing Sam Wilson, that is, has what is currently being gleaned as a successful movie by most. There is a demographic that doesn't believe it was successful, but 2014, we're dealing with that. He just flying around with no hand skills, no fighting. Then we got Captain America and the Winter Soldier. He became more of a fighter. He became more representative of what a Captain America should be. But from what I can see and what I am hearing, his main power is talking people out of beating his ass. Why can't we incorporate some of Sam's abilities cinematically? Is that the best possible representation of Captain Sam that we could get cinematically? How cool would it be to see him controlling a flock of birds and making them attack like bees? How cool would it be to see that surveillance being done by an actual living bird and Sam looking through that bird's eyes versus having to have little drones flying around? I guess that's the best way I could put it. A vampiric falcon at that. Interesting. Is Sam representation? As long as Steve Rogers is around, he is secondary representation. Now, there are some of us who say that ain't a bad thing. But why do you want to be second fiddle? Even though you've taken off your falcon wings and your falcon togs, you are still playing sidekick indirectly to Steve Rogers. As long as Steve Rogers is walking around alive, you will always be the other Captain America. If Marvel is dead ass serious about making Sam Wilson the Captain America, and you want to represent him properly, you got to let Steve Rogers go. Is Palm Colored America ready to let Steve Rogers go and embrace Sam Wilson fully? I don't hate to say it, but as low as my opinion is, Sam Wilson would make a great representative because, in my opinion, Sam Wilson, not the actor who plays him, represents what an African American should be. At least in my opinion. If there are people who don't think so, there are people who don't agree. But I mean, there's folks who don't agree with me. Do what y'all got to do, Marvel, to elicit the proper representation. Tale of Two Roads. I feel like the better actor got the role, but not the better roads. I think sidekickery and Marvel humor ruined what James Rhodes could have been. Is James Rhodes a good representation for us cinematically. Yeah, but we don't see enough of it. And they don't give him the shine he deserves. Even when in Secret Invasion, I'm like, what's going on? What's James Rhodes doing? Oh, he's a Skrull. Okay. Just a side note. That's how many War Machine armors there have been cinematically. I ain't seen that Cosmic Iron Patriot, but y'all let me know when that Cosmic Iron Patriot was in a movie. I don't remember seeing it. And also, they got quite a few War Machine action figures, but I digress. War Machine could be the representation we deserve, but War Machine, like so many before him, lack a monthly title. How are you going to grow as popular as you need to be? How are you going to have the representation you need to have when no one will give you the platform to do so? You're not going to have any representation if you don't represent. Why are we pushing them all on the shelf and putting them in the corner? And why do we only get one black character at a time cinematically? I'm going to let you contemplate that one and go to this one. There are a lot of people who believe this is representation. There are a lot of people who believe this is representation. So that brings me back to my previous argument. As long as there is Caucasian Simon Williams, Black Simon Williams will never be able to take his place as a representative, so to speak. So why are we settling for this? And that's what I mean when I say settle. Nobody finds anything wrong with that. There are a lot of people who find something wrong with it, but it's not enough people who find anything wrong with it. And I find it extremely ironic that the people who find something wrong with it are still going to watch it. Not for reviewing purposes, not for critiquing purposes. They're going to watch it because they want to watch it. What kind of representation is that? How are you representing by representing a character that isn't representing you? Make it make sense. How? Oh, no. I'm going to lead y'all to it. Jon Stewart, been around since 72. This is a comic book he appeared in. 72, 55 years before you give that character some live action shine. Why? Oh, because we just realized that for decades we've been practicing some semi-prejudiced type behavior. I ain't gonna call nobody no racist until they out now show me they are. But from what I can see with DC, y'all been playing fast and loose with Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart can be better than B-list. He needs a monthly comic, a consistent monthly comic. And speaking of consistent monthly comic, the only character who's had a consistent monthly comic since his inception as a black character? Oh, we can keep looking at Spawn because we don't see his face. And he's not in an African nation. So we can keep looking at him. Am I inserting thoughts into your head, or did you think that on your own? Spawn does have the distinction of defeating both God and the devil. Is that why people don't give him the respect he deserves? Because never mind. I'm not finna get into a religious discussion. But we are always looking for representation from Marvel. We are always looking for representation from DC. Why don't we find a representation in other places? We want these characters that we grew up with and loved to be what we need them to be. But what we're failing to understand is maybe the people who make these characters have antiquated ideas about what they think the characters should be, don't understand how to write a Black character, and aren't consistent with giving a Black character appearances and shine, which is evidenced by the mad lack of Black comic books from the big two. I mean, everybody gets excited about these quick runs, about these 4-issue books, about these 5-issue books, about these 10-issue books. Action Comics got 1,000 and something issues, and a vast majority of them have had Superman in them. Detective Comics, same thing. Oh, got Bruce Wayne in them. But don't nobody say nothing about that. You take Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent out of Action Comics and Detective Comics and don't tell nobody when they coming back, boy, you watch all that mail fly. You watch all them emails and them complaints fly. We don't do that for our own characters, do we? It's one thing to sit around and complain about the lack of representation. What are you doing to change that lack? Are you speaking on the behalf of these characters? These characters that you claim to love? Do you take it to the people who are giving you this lackluster representation? Or do you settle for that lackluster representation and tell yourself, they're trying to do stuff, so we should just let them cook? They've been cooking for a while, man. That soup been on for a minute. When we gonna get that? When we gonna get that soup? You ain't brought me my soup yet. And I ain't even gonna talk about recast T'Challa. That's a whole nother video. What do y'all think about the representation we've been given? What do you think? I mean, I know there's a lot, and this is an opinion thing. You don't have to agree with me, but you can go and check and see what's popping over at Marvel and DC. Okay, because they make stuff and put Black people on it. I got a Nubia book. Where's my Nubia series? I get 4-issue books based on milestone characters. Where's my Icon run? Where's my Static run? Where's my Blood Syndicate run? Where's my Shadow Cabinet run? You see what I'm saying? Where's my Hardware run? You done that 4 and it's over. Because we're not sure how people are good. You asked that question about Superman. You just kept making books with the dude wearing red drawers for 80 years. You didn't ask no questions. You just kept making them and told people this is what it is. Deal with it. Do that with Sam Cap. Do that with Rhodes. Dave, I hope they do that with Harriet Tubman. Greg, I hope they do that with Sadika, with Tuskegee Ayers. Brother Cottrell, I hope Titan becomes a household name. I've been reading comics over 50 years. Very rare, very far and few in between are the representations of characters that look like me that have been consistent throughout the decades. Why is it so hard to keep a Black Panther run steady? Because people aren't that interested in it. If they aren't that interested in it, then why do people complain about it when it's not around? If people aren't interested in Luke Cage, why do they clamor for him when he's not around? By the way, Timeless is here, but How long is this run going to last? Am I going to have a Black Lightning series, or is somebody going to get tired of writing Black Lightning and just go, well, don't know what to do with Black Lightning? That's what I mean when I say representation. I want mine to be consistent like everybody else's. I want mine to be around like Spawn been around. I want that kind of consistency. So maybe you need to have that type of control over the IP. Is that what it is? Is that how Todd's been able to keep Spawn going for 300 plus issues and spinoffs? Because he has control. Ain't nobody else pointing fingers at him and telling him how he should do his book. Maybe that's why we have so many Black independent artists and companies like Advent and Godhood and Kingwood. And remember this, when you waiting for the big companies to cook for you and give you what it is you know you deserve, you get the representation that you settle for. So if you are settling for that lackluster representation, this has been Be Real with D Real. I will be coming at you with another one of them other ones. Sorry I ran so long. But until then, y'all be good. Be good to each other. Peace.